The moment I unlocked that metal filing cabinet late on a rainy Tuesday evening, my entire reality shattered into pieces. I expected to pull out routine equipment logs, but instead, I found a crisp blue folder labeled with my own future. Inside was a legal transfer document that systematically stripped away my rights to the business I had bled for over 10 long years. Every single asset, every client contract, and every square foot of the shop was slated to go directly to my sister. Before I reveal the exact text of that horrifying document, please drop a comment telling me where you are tuning in from today, what the weather is like in your city, and smash that subscribe button to support the channel. My name is Clara Vance, and my entire life was defined by the relentless rumble of heavy machinery inside our family custom fabrication shop, located just outside of Austin, Texas. While other teenagers were spending their weekends at football games or hanging out at the mall, I was standing over a welding bench inhaling metal fumes and earning permanent scars across my hands. My father always preached about the sacred duty of building a legacy, convincing me that every 60-hour workweek without a paycheck was simply an investment in my own future. Meanwhile, my mother focused entirely on surface appearances, making sure everyone saw us as a picture-perfect success story. My younger sister, Sierra, lived in a completely different world than the one I inhabited behind the shop walls. She never came home with grease under her fingernails, and she certainly never spent cold winter nights hauling heavy steel stock out of frozen transport trailers. Instead, she floated in whenever high-profile clients were touring the floor, wearing spotless designer suits and flashing a picture-perfect smile for social media updates. My parents treated her like a fragile work of art that needed protection, while treating me like an unpaid piece of industrial machinery, designed solely to produce results. I endured it all because I believed hard work would eventually earn their respect. After finishing my degree in industrial logistics, I returned straight to the shop, full of fresh strategies to streamline our supply chains and double our profit margins. Instead of handing me an executive office, my parents shoved me right back onto the assembly floor to handle the dirtiest, most stressful jobs. They repeatedly assured me that my patience would be rewarded once the company reached its financial goals, using my love for the business to keep me anchored to a low wage. Sierra continued to receive public praise for corporate achievements she had nothing to do with, while I worked silently in the background fixing all her scheduling disasters. The quiet betrayal became impossible to ignore when private board meetings started taking place in my father's office without my knowledge. Whenever I walked into the hallway, conversation would instantly cease, and my mother would quickly slide folders out of plain view. I tried to convince myself that they were simply planning a surprise expansion or working through financial hurdles, but my workload only grew more suffocating with each passing week. Sierra began showing up with professional video crews, posing near the very machines I operated, taking complete credit online for complex fabrication projects that had nearly driven me to physical exhaustion. The breaking point arrived the night I stumbled upon that hidden file tucked behind old tax returns. Reading through those cold, typed pages, I watched my life work get erased as my parents designated Sierra as the sole operational owner, while placing me under a restrictive exit clause meant to phase me out entirely within 12 months. The sheer coldness of their planning left me paralyzed, realizing every promise about my inheritance had been a calculated lie to keep me producing free labor. I carefully returned the folder to its precise position, locked the cabinet, and walked out to my truck without saying a single word. Instead of exploding in anger, I implemented a silent strategy that would force the family business to feel the true weight of my absence. I strictly limited my hours to 4 o'clock sharp, refusing to answer late-night emergency calls or repair broken equipment after my shift had officially ended. Within days, the operational floor began to crumble under the weight of missed deadlines, confused vendors, and unhandled technical failures that nobody else knew how to fix. The sudden friction proved that my sweat, not their slick marketing, was the actual backbone holding the entire company together. Outside suppliers began contacting me directly on my personal phone, openly wondering why the shop operations were falling apart so rapidly. One of our largest long-term corporate clients sent a private message asking if I was launching my own independent venture, expressing complete lack of confidence in Sierra's ability to oversee complex orders. I did not immediately accept their offers, but I saved every single contact into a secure database, knowing that my reputation was worth far more than the business title my parents had stolen from me. The true explosion occurred at the end of the week when my father called me in a panic. He demanded that I handle a sudden crisis with our primary institutional client, who was threatening to cancel a multimillion-dollar order due to technical doubts about our management team. I calmly informed him that all relevant technical specs were already uploaded to the company cloud, and that I would discuss the matter during our scheduled family dinner that night. When I arrived at my parents' home, the atmosphere was suffocating, with my mother rearranging silverware in nervous bursts and my father pacing near the window with an untouched glass of whiskey. Sierra sat casually at the table, scrolling through her phone as if nothing was wrong. I placed the copied transfer document directly in the middle of the dining table, watching the color drain from my father's face as he realized I knew everything. My mother attempted to defend their actions by coldly stating that while I was great with my hands, Sierra possessed the polished mind required for upper management. That cruel remark destroyed the last remaining thread of emotional obligation I felt toward them, making it crystal clear that my years of sacrifice meant absolutely nothing to my own parents. Before they could spin the narrative any further, my father's phone began ringing furiously on the counter. It was the executive director from our top client, delivering a final ultimatum that they were formally pulling their contract unless I was personally put in charge of the entire project. Sierra snapped that the client was merely posturing, but my father's voice trembled as he begged me to step in and save the account before we faced total financial bankruptcy. I looked my parents in the eyes and firmly refused to rescue them, pointing out that since they believed I lacked administrative intelligence, they should let their chosen successor handle the high-level corporate negotiations alone. My father collapsed into his chair as a follow-up email confirmed the immediate cancellation of our biggest account, effectively crippling the company's financial future in a single moment. Sierra began shouting about my disloyalty, but I simply picked up my folder, slung my bag over my shoulder, and made my way toward the front door. My mother tried to guilt me by pleading that we were family, but I reminded her that real family does not secretly plan your erasure while leeching off your unpaid labor. I stepped out into the crisp evening air, feeling a profound sense of freedom I had never experienced before. Within 3 months of my departure, the family workshop lost its secondary contracts and was forced to sell off major manufacturing equipment just to meet basic payroll obligations. I officially launched my own independent consulting firm, bringing on board 2 trusted technicians from the old shop who were eager to work in an environment built on fair pay and genuine respect. My former client immediately signed a 3-year contract with my new company, proving that true professional value is forged through personal competence and integrity, rather than stolen titles or manipulative family dynamics. Walking away from people who only value you for what they can extract from you is not a defeat. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation and personal power. You must never allow anyone to define your limits or demand your silence, while they profit off your silent endurance. If this journey resonated with your own life, please consider subscribing to the channel for more powerful stories. If you want to watch another amazing narrative right now, click on the video showing on your end screen immediately.